Hello everyone, welcome to a very different video for today. So, as you might not know, that I'm a big sports fan, and also I'm spending most of my time uh, surfing on Reddit. So, as you may know, there's a subreddit called r/Philippines, and they posted this thread that says PH Sports. Now, I've actually seen this um, picture in Facebook, and I'm trying to find who created this so that I can credit him on the description. And also, I'm going to link the this thread so you can join the discussion on the Philippine sports scene as of right now. So, by the way, um just a disclaimer, I'm not really good at basketball, and anything that you may find here in this video is a matter of opinion and for uh, entertainment purposes only. So anything that you can find here are for it's just a matter of opinion. We can discuss this with each other. So um, and also it's for entertainment purposes only. And I do not mean no harm for any athlete here. It's just that I'm going to express my opinion. But I support every athlete here in the Philippines. But I think there's some glaring issues that should be addressed if we are to progress in for the good of the Philippine sports scene. So as you can see here in this picture, we have the a spotlight on the basketball player, and everything else is being set aside in the dim light. Even though they have the medals, they have the accolades, but they're in different sports. But the question here is why are they not in the spotlight? So here in the Philippines, we're in actually a basketball dominated culture. Basketball culture is big in the Philippines, and one of the main reasons is that we're colonized by the Americans and we are introduced by the sport that was invented by James Naismith. Now, fast forward to that, no need for the history of the Philippine basketball scene since that will take too long. But I'm here to talk about this thread and to answer some of the issues and uh, to pair with to pair my opinion with the comments that were attached to this. Yeah, but just to remember na that having a sport having a sport that will create a culture is actually a good thing. But there are some underlying issues. There are big issues that actually plaguing our uh, basketball scene, especially or in Philippine sports scene in general. So as you can see here in the picture, um, there are medals in other sports, but why are they getting attention as much as basketball? Why? And also views as well. We are not getting the views. We are not getting the views for some the accolades in weightlifting, in football, in pole vault, taekwondo, anything. But the basketball is still there. So let's dive into this thread. So as you can see here, Um, for the English-speaking viewers here, I'm going to just translate this to you. Ayan. So, as you can see here from this main comment, ang pangit talaga tingnan ng PBA compared sa other basketball leagues, which, to be fair, for PBA, they're trying their best, but I think it's saturated nowadays in that it is controlled by companies and not actually the teams themselves. It's more the companies that have power and the governing boards rather than having to propagate that basketball culture in that basketball league. Yeah, so, and I enjoyed PBA when I was a kid, but right now, it's nearly unwatchable for me. But I think some of the crowd may not agree with me, but for me, it's not really watchable. And if I'm going to watch basketball, I might just look at some of the EuroLeague, maybe NBA, if uh, NBA, or if not, if NBA is not around, then maybe EuroLeague. Yeah. And the reply here is kahit NCAA Div 1 kaya ang pro teams natin, which maybe in terms of the technicalities, no, physical, maybe physical because we're undersized as a nation. That's one of the main reasons. And NCAA Div 1 because of their technicalities and their pro style offense, especially for the Big East teams. Ayan. Yung nakalagay nga dito kahit nga UAAP team, kahit PBA team natin. It's because I think college ball here in the Philippines are actually watchable compared to the league itself. And because of the coaching, they actually allowed being prepped by some pro style offenses that were adapted to our universities and colleges. And when you go, I think, into the pro leagues here in the Philippines, they kind of allow street ball to come down. Yun. We're not gonna look over to all of the comments here. Yun. Mahirap sumuporta sa isang team na ang pangalan ay TNT. And that's the thing, no? Going back to that, some of the teams here in the pro leagues, the PBA, are actually named after the corporate or conglomerate or different companies, which kind of saturated because for one, there are companies that control multiple teams and that may allow the farm or that allows the farm system where a team actually picks on uh, players from uh, different teams quite easily. They can arrange trades that easily because they belong in the same conglomerate. Yeah. And another reply here, it's funny how PBA is the oldest basketball league in the entirety of Asia yet hanggang ngayon wala pa ring full Pinoy nakapasok in the big leagues. Yeah, that's kind of sad, no? Or even the big leagues in Europe. Yeah, it's kind of sad. We are the pioneers. We are the originators of basketball, and yet we are yet to develop a talent that is good enough for EuroLeague and PBA. Ano, NBA rather. Sorry. Yun. Hindi ko talaga maintindihan bakit sa basketball pa rin nakapokus ang gobyerno and may ibang sports naman. And yes, no? But it's because of the culture that has been propagated for so long. And yet that culture did not grow into the plant that we propagated. Yun. And I was actually wondering, why didn't they adopt FIBA rules? And that's the thing, we actually struggle in the international stage because some rules are not really adapted. The rules of the game are actually different from what we have right here in the Philippines. Yan. Yan. And also the different conferences in the PBA, which is kind of confusing. Even as a child who used to enjoy PBA, there are a lot, I think three conferences, three tournaments in PBA. So that's kind of hampering the development. And also duopoly mismanagement and corruption. Yan. And also, ayan, we have here PBA peak when Ginebra is starting winning championships again when Ginebra is not winning a title. It's more watchable kasi may narrative, may storyline ngayon kahit nung nag-champion na sila ulit. And, and so that's the issue when it comes to PBA. Now we have some comments here. Ayan. Early 2010s na naalala ko maganda support ng government sa Aztals. Now that is our national football team. Now, I actually enjoyed watching them in the early 2010s, but they kind of died down for a bit. And this is the one of the reasons here. Yan. Qualify on some of the World Cup qualifiers, but don't prioritize basketball more because of its marketability here. And also terrible because it's not really terrible, it's kind of growing, and you have to start from somewhere. And also the finances, and also the marketability died down. Yan. And you know what? Actually, the women's national team here in the Philippines actually qualified for the World Cup, and uh, the headlines do not particularly uh, view them. The newspapers do not headline them. And I'm a big football fan as well, so I'm actually looking forward on how would they perform in the World Cup. And we're actually focusing on the wrong World Cup. Yun. Palagi na lang basketball, dami pa namang potential sa iba't yan. I kind of agree. I think the Philippine basketball scene here is kind of oversaturated to the point that we have a lot of basketball players here, but where would they go? Where would they go? If they are recruited by schools and then only a few of them will turn into the scene of, like, say, semi-pro basketball such as MPBL or PBA, those are the only two options. They can go abroad, but that's literally it. You either go semi-pro or pro. But the pro is actually oversaturated compared to the semi-pro. And that's basically it. And if you compare it into the US basketball scene, they can go to other countries as well. And they can go to Asian countries as well, Asian leagues. While us, we're only limited to, I don't know, Japan B leagues. Yan, marami pang basketball players. Now, I don't want to discourage everyone to play basketball, but it became a problematic because it became a problematic scene because on how it is being managed by different leagues, commissions, etc. And also the play style that we try to implement. Our current play style here in the streets would not translate into the biggest stage, and that's one of the key reasons why grassroots um, coaching is important. You have to create some kind of philosophy in order a philosophy that will not only give emphasis to player development and player discipline but also international competence. Yun. And as you can see, if you are to watch PBA, and if you are to watch uh, a league here in a barangay in your local courts, if you put them side by side, then you will not see any difference. And you wonder why. Yan. Alam ko namang dismayado na di nakapasok si Kai Soto. And that's the thing, no? I rooted Kai Soto for to be drafted at least in the very end of the second round. But I think it's the best way forward is that he should be an undrafted free agent, can be signed into a G League contract. And then Races League only searching for American and European talent now. Now that might be one of the causes, no, but that might be one of the reasons why they did not pick Kai Soto, no? Yun. And here's another thing. Do you remember the incident with Australia? Yun. Filipinos justified Gila's actions because of supposed racism from the Australians, which I will say to that, I reply, cooler heads prevail. Cooler heads prevail. You will not win by simple violence. And that actually put the nail in, that was the beginning of, not really the end, no, but kind of a gradual decline of the Filipino basketball culture internationally. Next, we have here the chess scene, which was mishandled, the Wesley Saw situation, the tennis situation here, Alex Ayala. And so another thing is that we are so fixated on basketball that we forgot we have talent in other sports, financial, developmental mismanagement. Ayan, yan. Ironic that our men's basketball team ang pinakalatak quality sa lahat ng mga atleta natin. And to the point that basketball fans from other countries like Lithuania and Serbia call their team's game versus ours a practice game. And mga corporations at basketball fans na lang ng Pilipinas yatang sumiseryoso sa PH men's basketball. Yeah, I kind of agree to that. Corporations, because they kind of control the league and some of the die-hard basketball fans. Um, and also having that as the quality of our players latak will actually pull you down. In fact, they really want to compare the quality. Although they're different sports, we might have the most watered down quality of players. And also, not only that, you actually want to uh, keep those watered down players into the international scene to further embarrass our national team. Yan. Pay attention to non-group sports like boxing, billiard, bowling, weightlifting, and we actually had some great success in those sports. And yet, we are still dominated by basketball culture. We have the GOAT of billiards player for that. Do we have a GOAT player in basketball? We can have a GOAT player in weightlifting, in women's weightlifting. We don't have even a GOAT player in Asia. Honestly, we're better with non-group sports mostly. Might be. Mm. And also this one, the culture of if you're tall, you should play basketball. Mm. Sayang naman ang tangkad mo, bakla ka ba? Kung ganyan ako katangkad, maglalaro ako basketball. Which actually is one of the most one of the can be attached to a societal issue where you're male. You should do this, which is kind of wrong for me considering that we are forcing ourselves to put uh, to be on that role. We are forcing ourselves to be on that role, which kind of a detrimental to how a person develops. Zero basketball IQ, dahil na lang sa fundamentals iiyak na. Ayun. So again, we are trying to tag, if you're tall, you should play basketball. Use your talent, use your size, which kind of an antagonizing or kind of a threatening statement, to be honest. Nobody in the government, even in the PH uh, gives a care about Heidelin Diaz before she won the gold, and they actually red tag her, and no wonder Wesley Sol left PH for better opportunities. It's more of you're irrelevant if you do not win. Instead of, why not let us help you to win? It should be like that. Let us help you to win. It's not about we're not helping you if you're not winning. And it goes back to the culture as well. And here, the commission issues, federation, there's all underlying issues on that. And also grassroots program. We need to have a grassroots program into that so that we can help other people to focus on sports. And I think that's it, no, for now. I'm recording this uh past midnight, and I cannot really talk about it anymore. I might talk about even UST here and general championship, but no one really cares about other sports. They only care on basketball. But it's one of the sports in collegiate. It's one of the sports in collegiate athletics. It's only one of the sports in collegiate athletics, and yet it is not. And the majority of other sports in college athletics are not given emphasis. So let me give you a thought on that. Mm, mm. And also, to end this, ayan, it's better if we are to focus on sports that play to the strengths of the Filipinos that rely on quickness and reaction time. Mm. So we need to focus on something that we're good at, not on something that we should force ourselves to be good at. Okay? Mm. And and another some here, no, user here, while being a former varsity for a while and club football player, and it's about downtime. Football is getting the recognition it should. Because to be quite frank, Pinoys are just not built for basketball. Refunding some of the funds of our local government basketball programs, and there are other sports that we can be good at, but quite frankly, we cannot really do that because it is already instilled in our culture. But I think with the qualification of our women's national team in the Women's World Cup might change that. But it's only a percentage of that because there should be an overhaul from top to bottom. And so that's it. That's my overview on the Philippine sports scene as designed or my interpretation of this art here. So I want to credit on whoever created this art. This is actually really nice. Ayan, it's actually nice. It's actually a great representation on what we have right now in sports. So yeah, that's it. Thank you and good night.